Good evening, welcome to the Toon Review, and the first thing you will notice is we are very short staffed tonight. Paul isn't here as his dog Alcy isn't very well. They've had to get the emergency vet in for her. And Alex has been a proclaimer today and walked 500 miles up and down mountains. River deep, mountain high. Rest in peace, Tina Turner. So we're going to take a few comments. We're going to talk about the Chelsea game tomorrow, Sunday, and also a few things in between. Eddie Howe press conference, things like that. Michael's here. Chippers is here. Tony Hunter's here. Mary also here. Tom Lynch is here. Thoughts for you, Tom, for the summer? Evening, everyone. Final game of the season. Bittersweet, isn't it? I dread the summer. My mental health always nosedives. Reverse seasonal affected disorder. Well, Tom, we'll still be here over the summer, so hopefully we can help you out with that. And always, if not, just call out. You know, we're all here for each other. Who else we got? Jan Levens is here. This is my shortlist. And then he's wrote a paragraph of players. Caicedo 21, Inacio 22, Truffert 21, Ganonto 19, Kev from Toon 22, Tin 25, Diaby 23, Shabazlai 22, Tadibo 23, Savic 28, build and win.
That's an expensive list you've got there.
It is indeed, and it's a short list. I mean, I'd hate to see his long list. Eddie Howe in today's press conference did kind of temper fans' expectations, Alex, by saying he didn't see 95% of the squad actually. He still saw 95% of the squad being there next season, and 2 or 3 signings, and kind of trying to temper fans' expectations. You think?
I think it'll be a combination of a couple of things. Yeah, it'll be trying to keep expectations a little bit lowered. But it also depends on what he means by that. You know, that can mean several things without him lying. That could be the 25-man squad. So that could be the people that have not really had a look in, such as Gillespie, however we say his name, and Richie, and players with contracts expiring, or players that have not really been involved. You know, because you could argue that Manquillo, despite being here, has not really played. So, you know, we could get rid of 5 or 6 players, and his words are still kind of true if they weren't part of the 25 or they didn't really play. So, you know, he's said pretty much nothing there. It doesn't really confirm it. So, it could be anything.
He also mentioned, now I was going to say this. What was I going to say something? And I've completely lost my point. He was talking about Garen Kowal as well, and how his loan and spell at Hearts hasn't gone too well. He was pleased to see him score the other night against Rangers. However, he didn't see him ready for the first team squad next season. And it looks like a loan is going to be on the cards for next year. Think about that.
Fine. Yeah. I mean, it's a different situation to what Elliot Anderson was in. Elliot Anderson had a successful loan spell and was 2 years older at that point. Garen Kowal's still very young. Absolutely fine. You know, he can go on loan for another 2 seasons and then be of use to us when he's honed his game a little bit. You can see there's a lot of raw talent there, and it's somebody that could be, you know, very, very, very important. But you know, he needs to learn and play games. He doesn't look like he's elite enough to play right now, but you never know. Maybe he gets a run of games in a certain team and something just clicks. It can happen. It does happen with players sometimes. But you know, we don't want to assume that. We'll just, no pressure on him. Just go and have 1 season next year. Just go and learn the game. He's got a lot of raw talent and good sort of ingredients there to go and work with, and we'll just see how he develops.
Yeah, we've got a £5 super chat for me and Fleming, who's a regular contributor to the channel. He says, "Hi, Billy and Alex. Hope you're all good. We're fantastic. Thanks for your continuing support, Ian. While we're on the subject of super chats, if you want to contribute like Ian has there, just click the $sign and I'll take you through to a payment method. Also, hit the thumbs up, push up the algorithm. We are very close to 20,000 subscribers now. Might even surpass it tonight. And to join that 20,000 crew, what we do is click the subscribe button. It doesn't cost you a penny, and it will help us out immensely." He also spoke about the Champions League, and one of the journalists actually asked him if he had a different shopping list now to what he would have had if he would have been Europa League. Eddie Howe responded by saying that they haven't had that conversation as yet. What do you think of that?
Well, he hasn't had that conversation, but I'm sure some of the higher ups have had that conversation.
Yeah.
Because obviously, excuse me, obviously the depth of quality you need is a little bit higher. That won't be the main point. It will be, I think, the conversation will be based on income. Obviously, we'll get a lot more money in, to obviously offset spending against FFP. So that allows you to spend a bit more money. So that whether that, it depends on how they decide to manifest that. Does that mean we want to bring in 4 players, and that means we're just going to bring in, we've got more transfer budget for the same 4 players? Or does that mean, okay, we're going to go and get a 5th player? So it depends how they see that. Does that mean more signings or slightly better signings and a better shortlist? So again, we just don't know. Could be either or.
He's really looking forward to the Champions League draw, he said. He also mentioned that the players were at the end of the tether now. He's glad it was the end of the season, and glad they can get themselves on holiday. However, he has already started preparations for next season, and he kind of made a big point of that. Very professional of him. That's what we like to see, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the fact he's already said he started prepping for it, considering we don't know the Champions League pots yet, there's still things to be played. I don't think Racing Club de Lens are definitely in yet. I think there's still a little bit still to be decided across Europe. So I don't know what he's prepping yet. He's got no idea what who's playing against. But he's obviously just preparing. In terms of, it's probably just sort of laying out initial feelers for how are we gonna cope with a 60-game season. If we end up playing 3 or 4 games in each cup, that's 6 to 8 additional games, plus then 6 minimum in the Champions League, and then let's say we drop into Europa and get a few more games in. 10 additional matches. It's a lot of matches in a season. Somewhere between 50 and 60 matches. We're going to have to, as you've mentioned several times this season, Billy, that especially earlier on, that Eddie Howe was generally selecting quite a small pool of players, and he wasn't rotating particularly much. And he said this himself in interviews, to be fair, that he can't do that next year with the amount of games. He's going to have to change up his management style somewhat and be less, all this about, I love to keep us the same back 5 because, he's not going to be able to do that as much as he wants to. He's going to have to start tinkering with the way he manages, and he's aware of that. That's probably why they've started prep so early, to try and figure this out nice and early, really.
Yeah. He also was asked about resting players for Sunday, and Eddie said that he couldn't. He was at the bare bones as it was. Joe Linton certainly won't be playing. Nick Pope clearly won't be playing. He's just an operation. And so we might see 1 or 2 new things happen, but on the whole, it's kind of indicating that there won't be too many changes for Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, there might be. You never know. He might just be saying that. But in terms of our injury list now, so injured and suspended players, I've got the list here. We're not really counting Ryan Fraser. He's just been banished to Hobbitland. But the real people, we've obviously got Nick Pope for the hand surgery he's had, Matty Longstaff, Matt Ritchie, Joe Willock, Joe Linton, Manquillo, Lascelles, and Kraft. So it is a, and to be completely honest, I would imagine that there's 3 or 4 players who are going to be involved who are quite sore, such as Bruno, Trippier. Had a bit was feeling his hamstring. Mm-hmm. I'd say there's 3 or 4 walking wounded going into Sunday anyway that are probably going to end up starting the game. So that injury list by default is longer than that. And as soon as we finish the season, they are going to be rested and probably go into physios and whatnot. So, but I don't know. He could change things out. I don't think he will, but I'd love to see him use some sort of players like Ashby or But he's such a competitive manager, and he, as he always says, he's probably going to try and put out the lineup, which is most likely to get 3 points because that's just what he does. So,
and 3 points could well get us to the 3rd place spot, couldn't it? So I mean, there is something to play for, albeit it's not in our hands. But until that wasn't the case, I think he will go as strong as he possibly can. Evening to you, Carlos, Scott, and Marius. Tony Hunter says 14th of July 2023, 9 a.m. Summer transfer window opens 14th of July. First Toon supporter who asked why we haven't bought anyone yet. 9:01. That date. Very late, isn't it? 14th of July. So we're going to get 6 weeks of transfer activity. So it ends the 31st of August, isn't it? So it was earlier than like last year, wasn't it? I wonder if that was because of the World Cup. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it has too much of an impact anyway. I think there's a lot of free contracts that can be signed. Agents can be talked to, things can be arranged. The season has ended. There's no competitive fixtures remaining. It's all but just it's the official part of it. There can still be conversations behind closed doors. It's not it makes no difference really.
Indeed. Even to you, Lawrence. Even to Colin. Hope you're well. Mark Schooler says we might as well play the under-21s. Well, I've just said, third place is kind of still up for grabs, and although it's not in our hands, I'm sure that the under-21s may get 1 or 2 in the squad. Maybe 1 or 2 might make the lineup. We don't know, but I don't know about you, Alex. I don't think he's going to go full hog, putting U teams out against Chelsea.
Yeah. The more I think about it, I don't think Ashby's realistic. I think he'll play a senior right back, although that is literally only Trippier. Yeah. This is one of the benefits of the new 5 substitutions rule is if he wants to use all 5, it gives players a chance minutes. But I think Lewis Miley's probably the most likely of the young ones to maybe see minutes because of the midfield issues.
Yeah.
But again, who depends how he wants to go, because I think obviously Anderson's fit, so he can just go Bruno, Anderson, and Sean Longstaff, which I think that's go with. Although we will win.
We have the Australian referee on Sunday, Jared Gillette. I don't know how you pronounce that. He's probably the best a man can get on Sunday. He's been pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, he's the one that they had the funny mic'd one, isn't it? He got the mic'd up video on YouTube.
He's not too bad, is he? I don't think. Colin says it's been a very special season. Indeed, it has. Sean Louis says, Buenas noches, mis compañeros Mags. Any good? Any good pronunciation-wise?
Very good. Yeah, well done.
There's a difference between me and Paul. Paul would have said, Buenas noches, mis compañeros Mags, or something of that accord. Peter Banks on VAR says, Tony. Good evening to you, Paul Feeney. Good evening to Geordie Boy. Jan says, our match on Sunday is not important anymore. Who cares? 3rd or 4th makes only 2 or 3 mil difference and makes the Man U fans believe they're better than us. I don't want that. I don't want my
Man U fans. The difference between you and Eddie Howe. Eddie Howe wants the 3rd place. Eddie Howe wants to win.
Especially when Man United are concerned. They've had Mile High Ground over for far too long. I think it's about time we had a bit of gloating time over them. Don't you, Alex?
Yeah, well. I mean, it's not that I'm bothered about. It's Jan's comment. So to you, it might not make a difference, but the fact that Eddie Howe as a person never thinks that way is the reason we are being successful right now. Is because it is literally a case of I must always do the best I can, give 100%. We always try and win. You can't have any fixtures where you take part. We've had several journalists try and suggest that. Even Downey said against Tottenham, would a 1-1 draw be a good result? We put 6 past. It's that mentality. He's the wolf climbing the mountain. He wants to beat everybody and he wants to be the best every time. And I understand what you mean. In reality, yeah, you're right. It doesn't make too much of a difference, but it's that mentality of it. It is always important. It's why we're so, the lads are so savage on the pitch with that aggression, drive. It's he's instilled his own mentality into the players. They all feel the same way Eddie Howe does. It's kind of a reflection of who he is as a manager. You can see that.
I agree with you, actually. I agree 100%. Eddie Howe's winning mentality, and I think it's a massive reason why we are where we are. Evening to you, Julie J. Indigo Figure says, a team who wanted the season to end over a month ago versus a team who don't want it to end despite the squad being held together with duct tape at this point. That's a very good analogy, I think. Yeah, I agree with that, Indy. Well said. Even to Carl Muir, Mark Robson. Oops, we've had a skip. Mark Robson. Is that the super chat we did? Oh, had a £5 super chat from Swanky Wags, Julie. She says, Idiot reporter asked Eddie about players over 30 contract extensions, that their values would drop, but they didn't cost much in the first place. Yeah, some of the journalism that happens at press conferences isn't the greatest, as Alex has alluded to on many occasions. Many occasions. Pilo Keith says, evening to you, Keith. Evening to Billy Boy. Troll says, evening to all of us, even though there's only 2 of us here. Reese says, hi, folks. Hope Lewis Miley gets his debut on Sunday. since it would have been fair if he didn't, as he was pulled out of the England squad recently. That's a good point as well, isn't it?
No, I don't think. I think that's. I think that it's not unfair. It's not about him. It's about the club. He was pulled out as cover, and he would have been told that, and he would have accepted that.
Well, he's got no choice, has he? Yeah.
Yeah, it's his employer. He's contracted. It's for safety reasons. It's for if Anderson goes out and gets a double leg break in minute 5, Lewis Miley's available on the bench and is ready to play. It doesn't mean that he has to play. I would like to see him play. Of course, it would. It'd be great. It'd be really interesting. But it's not about one player at this point. It's about the team. So I don't think unfair. I don't think we can say unfair. I mean, you can if that's your opinion. It's fine. But it's a cutthroat game, and we've got to do what's best for the entire team and the club, not just one person's minutes.
I think he will get minutes Sunday, though, if I'm being honest. I think there's a chance he'll see some pitch time on Sunday.
I'd be surprised if he doesn't get at least double there.
Yeah, I agree with that. Even to you, Spike, hope you're well. He says, hope everyone's good. P.S. The items will have to be signed for. That's for Paul. He'll see that, and no doubt he'll be in to receive those goods you've sent him. Even to you, Ken, hope you're well. What a lovely time to be a Geordie. Fantastic. Even to JL Peacock, he says, even lads and lasses, hope everyone is keeping well. Brian Scott's here too. Even to you, Brian, and Devon Green also. Hello, Toon Review family. Glad to be back for live show. Well, welcome to the live show, Devon. There's Troll speaking. Pedro's also here. Good Friday evening, you beautiful people. The weather is great in the northeast. Pretty good down here too, to be fair. Get the cans out and the barbecue on. I think Alex has had a bit of barbecue tonight, haven't you, mate?
I mean, the food was cooked inside, but it was outside food, yeah.
That's barbecue in Coventry. JB said, good evening to you. Call me Swift, good evening to you also. What happened with the others, like full Stato takeover? Says Drill Connoisseur, as Ben doing in his show. Paul's dog isn't very well at the minute. And Jack's completely cream crackered. He's walked 30 kilometres or something today, 15 miles uphill, down dale. And he's a mere shadow of a man he was yesterday. So he's resting up. We'll all be together again Sunday, I guess, or maybe Monday. I don't know, whenever the review of the Chelsea game is. Even to you, Carl, Liston Hines here. Evening, Billy. You and Paul are the best watch-along commentators in the tube. Big up. Cheers, mate. Thank you very much. Very much appreciate that. Tony Hunter says, Alex, what's going on with your eyes? You look tired.
I think I am, to be fair. It might be a little bit of sun. I haven't got my usual studio lights on me right now, so thanks for that.
All the cracks are showing, Alex. All the cracks are showing. Get some booze down you. That'll stop it.
And I never got any recommendations, by the way. I asked for some good recommendations.
Tom's the man for that. Tom's the man for
the Northeast.
Yeah,
Tom, give me some recommendations, because I keep getting told off for drinking this, saying, "Oh, it's not original anymore." Well, give me some suggestions, then I'll try it.
Whether the Northeast brown ales travel or not, whether they sell them down south, another kettle of fish, I guess. But even to you, Mr. Spoons, hope you're well. Tom's saying get well soon to Elsie, of course. We all echo that sentiment. That list will do fine for starters, says Rabbit on, talking about Jan's short list, whatever you want to call it. As much as I want to finish third, I will be fine with Eddie starting our younger rotation players on Sunday. He hasn't to choose from, though, does he? That's the whole point of it. That's why he said what he said. Have you seen much of Chelsea the past few weeks, Alex?
Not really. I've tried where I can to watch as much of that Man United game as I could before this show. And they obviously, I mean, you watched it, and as you said at the time, their first half wasn't too bad. They were fairly well put together. They got some XG. Felix obviously scored towards the end of the game, but they just completely capitulated. To be fair, they did play a very, very young lineup. We will look at this when we look at the graphics, but that lineup they played against United. So, it was a 4-1-4-1, and they've got Mudryk, Gallagher, Chukwuemeka and Madueke as like that next four. Havertz as a false nine, kind of not false nining properly. Enzo having a good game, but I don't know. It's just what happens when you try and use 40 players in a squad in a season. It's just, especially I don't think Frank is a very good manager either. not for this level. I'm sure he's a competent manager at a level, but not the level he's trying to perform at, which is a shame. It doesn't work. The balance was all wrong. You would imagine that the balance would be quite right, because that midfield three turns into Fernandes, Gallagher, and Chukwuemeka, which, you know, we've had midfield threes not too dissimilar with how they function with Bruno, and then two aggressive runners in Willock and Joe Linton, and we've managed to get that kind of style to work. And Nurse just doesn't at all. It's just not about names. You know, that squad needed like a winter break really badly, and like a mini pre-season to try and really sort something out tactically, and they didn't get it, and it's just been a mess. It's been an absolute mess.
No, they haven't gelled at all, have they? However, I must say, first half last night, they played some pretty good stuff. They created countless chances, were hopeless in front of the goal. Mudryk, Havertz, shocking in front of goal, and should have been in front really at half time. And they found themselves 2 down. And like you say, second half, they capitulated.
My mate told me something at work today, and it's completely true. Chelsea at the moment, especially in an attacking sense, they're a team full of bridesmaids. And that made so much sense to me. And I don't know why it did, but it just felt so right. They're all, you know, like Liverpool's front three used to be with Mane, Salah, because a lot of the Chelsea forwards have got that kind of style about them. I'm not saying they're at that level, but they've got that style, but they just don't have that product, that end product at all. It's just very much they are the bridesmaid. They do 9/10 of the work, and then but they need that. They just don't have that you know, that Lukaku that they decided to let go, even though he was a £100 million striker.
Yeah.
They're all sort of
Abraham, another one, you know,
false forwards, inside forwards, false nines, but they've not really got anybody who can, you know, put it in the back of the net.
And they've got 2 strikers rocking up in Serie A, which Abraham and Lukaku, which I don't know. There's
I think Abraham's gone now. I think they sold him.
Yeah, maybe. Lawrence's midweek evenings and weekends won't be the same without football. Been starting to feel like recently, but glad we can still look forward to live videos. And Lawrence was at the training ground today, I saw on Twitter, and plenty of photos with players as they left the training ground. So well done to you. Good evening to Matt down in Australia, or good morning to Matt down in Australia. Mary says, does that mean Dubravka is gone? I don't believe so. I think he said he wanted to keep him. That was another part of the press conference. And I'm pretty sure he'll be starting Sunday, Alex. What do you think?
Well, yeah, 100%. I mean, he filled in when Pope sent off against Liverpool. Fully expect Dubravka to start. It'd be nice to see him back. I think I'm not as angry with him as I was.
Yeah, I'm the same.
Be interested to see him back in a shirt. It's a shame it's not at home, but hopefully he doesn't make a mess of it and makes a mistake. This Chelsea team there it'd be a nice historical result if we can, you know, do the double over them for the first time in how many years. I mean, this is why we need Paul. He normally does the historical stats.
It is.
So I can't. Have we ever done the double over Chelsea? Probably not in the Premier League era, possibly pre-Premier League or maybe pre-takeover for them.
Well, even when we were good, when we were entertainers and all that, they were a bogey side. They tend to get, you know, results against us in ridiculous kind of games. So I can only remember us winning at Chelsea once, and that was the game we all remember, the Cisse game.
Yeah, of course. Throw into the Cisse Cup. Yeah. I don't know. It's an interesting one. It'd be nice to obviously beat them, because then when we go into next season, because we all talk about how a lot of us get really frustrated. We get really frustrated by the sort of Sky Sports narrative, commentary narratives, media narratives. So if we go into next season, it means that whenever we next play Chelsea, the commentary team can't say anything really negative. All they can talk about is, well, last season Newcastle did a double over them. They beat them twice, home and away. And they literally cannot. You know, there's going to be a point in like 2 or 3 more years where they literally cannot spin it negative anymore, because we're just going to have erased that part of history unless they start going back really far.
I think what they'll do is that they'll talk about resetting the status quo, won't they? That'll be the big argument. That'll be their big kind of voice.
They'll probably go, back in 2019 when this happens, and they'll try and wiggle it in somehow. But doing the double over Chelsea would be very historical. It would help us going into next season as well. Be nice to finish the season on a win as well, because historically we've never been really that good on the last day of the season. I've got nightmares of that final day against Everton. I think it was a 3-1 loss against Everton, I think, wasn't it, on the final day of the season?
Yeah.
And if we'd have beaten Everton, I think we would have qualified for the Champions League.
Yeah.
And the loss meant we dropped into the Europa League.
Yeah.
Which is a shame. A lot of people don't remember that, but we were knocking on the door then. We just needed to beat them, and it was Lukaku's Everton at the time.
Yeah.
So it'd be nice if we could finish the season with a win. It really would.
That was the game where we modelled that scarlety red kit, wasn't it? It was next season's kit, and they wore it for that last game of the season. Evening to you, David Smith. Hope you're well, mate. Lee Kelly, good evening to you. KB, welcome to you too in Belfast. Indo Toon, good evening to you also. John Green, good evening to you. Everyone's saying good evening. God, I'm multiple in the comments as always. Noel Powell says, I'd say we get 4 or 5 Shabazz like Kefram, Turam, Tierney, and Ugarte, and I'd be delighted with that. I think Ugarte is going to go somewhere else. I know he's linked with PSG. I hope it'd be a great signing. Of course he would. I think we'd all love him on board, but there's kind of rumours he's going to PSG at the minute.
Kefram Turam has been linked with Liverpool and a few other places. And the fact that obviously Ugarte has been linked with PSG probably just added 20 million price.
Yeah.
We shall see. There's as I've alluded to before, there's a lot of choices around. So we don't have to hoover them all up.
No, we don't. Julie J says, I want 3rd place back. That Manuel stole, I should say, not to disappoint if we don't. It's a little something to play for. I agree with that. Totally agree with that. Lee says 5 good summer signings will be great for us. Wayne Matheson, good evening to you. Geordie Boy says maybe 3 quick signings and then 2 or 3 by the end, depending on the fees, etc. Yeah, I mean, the Champions League draw, they can still buy players after that, can't they? So, we're not done and dusted when the Champions League draw happens, definite.
Yeah, of course. I don't think they'll buy players based on who the Champions League draw is, but I think a lot of people are forgetting as well. A lot of people are just throwing out these lists. We will probably make 1 or 2 very sensible signings as well. Like we made a Chris Wood and a Dan Burns sort of signing. I'm hoping we don't signing because I don't think he was particularly good for us. He was passable at best. And I know some people like him. However, I think we will make a few sensible transfers. I don't think it's all going to be sort of Diabes and crazy midfielders and this and that. There's probably going to be 1 or 2 that shock you. I genuinely think that. I think, look at Brighton. Haven't they signed James Milner on a pre-contract?
Yeah, I think so.
Pretty sure, yeah. Unless I dreamt that, I'm pretty sure that's happening. So for all Brighton's praise, look what they're bringing in as a bit of support and backup. Obviously, it's a great move now going into the Europa League. James Milner to come into the dressing room and advise you and help and be a rotation player to help with their additional games. Now it suddenly looks like a very good move. He's played in that sort of team as well. So I think we'll make a couple of interesting signings, but not going to be sort of big 40, 60 million. I think we might pick up like a 12 or a 13 million pound signing from somewhere that will shop. I think we'll do it again.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't know if it's a renewal, but new member Northumberland Geordie. Well, thanks for joining the Toon Review community. Northumberland Geordie, whether that's a renewal or not, thanks for that anyway. Nathan 8 says, massive appreciation for the content you put out, Billy, Alex and Paul and support team. Moderators, superb. Have a great weekend all. Thanks, Nathan. Very much appreciate that, mate. Stephen Hark says, is the king of guitar on tonight, Jack or Jim, the squirrel guy? No, they're not. Also, Bruno said in an interview they will surprise a few next season in the Champions League, and he wants titles and silverware. Yeah, I saw that interview. Very ambitious young man, Bruno, which kind of augurs well for us next season, isn't it?
I mean, it's this mentality that's dragged us to 4th place of the season. Well, maybe 3rd. All right, Champions League, I'll say. It's Trippier's mentality. It's Bruno's mentality that they came in and they wanted to, and Joelinton said the same thing. They want to win silverware at this club. It's not that they've come here to just for the project. They've specifically said they want to make Newcastle a club that wins trophies. They want to be lifted trophies. Their amount. It's that mentality along with the coaching staff, primarily the manager, instilled that in them. So it's just a winning mentality, and I can't see them being any different. You know, I might see sort of a Brighton being a bit standoffish in certain fixtures next season in Europe. I can't see us being like that. I think if Bruno gets a fixture against Real Madrid, he's going to be like, right, can I hold my own in this midfield battle? And he's going to want to try that. Like these guys really want to be the best of the best. And Trippier's been there. Trippier's been in a Champions League final. Trippier, that Spurs team that absolutely battered Real Madrid like 3-1. They played him off the park, and Trippier was destroying them down the wing. This was some years ago, 5 or 6 years ago, possibly more. You know, these lads want to play at the highest level and show off and be good. So why not? I don't think they will shy away from a Champions League challenge at all.
I'm looking forward to it. I really am. Steve Ballum says, even though parked in a random side street at Marth Murrayfield, waiting for my daughter and her friend to see Harry Styles. I need entertaining. I feel your pain, Steve. Harry Styles was caught them on the road for 3 nights or 2 nights this week. I had to shut the back door. Horrific. Really was. Could hear it clearly from here. Horrific. Really bad. I guess that's my age showing there.
Was it the Rico, was it?
He was, yeah. Yeah. Paedophile's paradise. I just said that out loud. I can't believe I said it. Devin Green said, what season we have had guys a cup final Champions League place. It's amazing we deserve it. Oh, dear me. Cormy Smith said, yes, it will probably be Dubravka, even though he's leaving. If he is leaving, I should say. Eddie will probably want to give him a goodbye game. I don't think he is leaving by what he said in the press conference. So, Cormy Swift. Although, I guess if the right offer came in, who knows? And Mary says it is more like who are the 3 that are more likely to leave in the summer window. Alex, get your graphics together, mate. We'll have a look at the Chelsea lineup from last night and what have you. We'll go through a few more comments first, though. We should not worry too much about the Chelsea game. Nothing much to gain. One position, maybe. We should play the majority of our fringe players and give them all a run out, says Jordan B. We've been through that, and he's not really in a position to, I don't think, as we said. Corby said, I would like to see Gordon target to start and Aspie to get a run out. Yeah, that's interesting. Gordon. We'll see. We'll obviously see Sunday, but it's possible.
Then you've got players like Maxi that are going to want to start as well. You've got other wingers that are knocking on the door. And Maxi's the one who's been subbed on. To be fair, they've both been subbed on. But Maxi's been the one who's subbed on and made a little bit more of a difference as a substitute. Gordon's been a bit more system, shape, work hard, whereas Maxi's been the one licensed to, all right, you go and run at the defence.
Let's look at the statographics then. Let's look at the Chelsea lineup from the other night. Have a talk about that, mate.
Right, so this is the lineup that faced Manchester United and got pretty smashed in. So Paul, Chalobah, Fofana, and Azpilicueta as the back 4 with Arrizabalaga as the goalkeeper. Mendy not in there anymore. Fofana dropped an absolute stinking stonker of a horror show. A nightmare performance from Wesley Fofana, if I must say so. And I think you saw more of it than I did, Billy.
Yeah.
But for a 70, 80 million pound centre back, whatever he cost, oh dear God, it seems to be something about when you sign a centre back for that much that's not Van Dijk, they just flop. Maguire, Fofana, they're just not having a good time at all.
It wasn't even just in defence either. There were times where he broke out of defence, actually made an impact, and then played the most horrendous pass you will ever see. I think he did it 3 or 4 times actually to red shirts. It was an awful.
It's a shame because he profiled so well at Leicester, as did Harry Maguire. Maybe it's a curse. Maybe we shouldn't buy any Leicester players. Maybe this is a little warning that we should just stay away from those blue shirts. So who is available that can also play? I'm pretty sure Silva and Koulibaly are available. Don't think they're injured. I think they can play. So I would probably, I would expect some changes to this back 4, especially after Fofana's performance. I would expect Koulibaly and Silva to come in, or one of them to come in, either or. I think Hull, wasn't too bad. I thought Hull was quite exciting, and it's interesting. I'm pretty sure he's obviously an academy player, so it's quite funny that he's getting the nod. Enzo, we know, is a very, very competent player. Of course, anybody that watches the World Cup knows he's fairly tidy. Of course, Chelsea abhorrently overpaid for him. He was worth half that, but still a very good midfielder. Gallagher and Chukwuemeka, good players, I guess, but I think it's just too much tinkering all at the same time. I think it's a case of you need to drop one of these in to the starting lineup, or maybe two. I think it's far too much tinkering, and Fat Frank is well out of his depth. Well out of his depth. He is having a torrid time. The tactics are non-existent. I mean, he's lucky that there's some just individual quality on the pitch, because Chelsea are putting up some reasonable numbers XG wise. They're getting some goals, and that whenever they get basic attacking moves together, they look really dangerous. But I think that's more down to the talent of the players themselves, less to do with coaching and tactics. I think it's just a bit of luck. I think it's just throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks at the moment. Mudryk and Madueke, of course, individually amazing talents. We looked at Madueke for PSV in several transfer shows. Unfortunately, he's ended up going to Chelsea. But every time I watch him, I think he's absolutely electric. I think he's brilliant. I love Madueke. I think he's a great player. Yeah. I think next season, if Chelsea can get a proper manager and sort themselves out, I think they could be really interesting. They can get some cohesion going. Havertz is much of a muchness. On his day, can be an absolutely disgustingly competent sort of half nine, false nine. But again, dropped some stinkers recently. Struggled to get into games. Doesn't quite drop enough to get involved, but then isn't quite far forward enough when needs be. Isn't in the box. Like it's just disconnect from the team. And we might as well scroll across and have a look at what the other options are. So we've got Pulisic they could have used. João Felix obviously is very why he's not in the starting lineup. He should be. Came on and scored. Absolutely amazing player. Datro Fofana, of course, is he came on earlier when he got signed and was really good, and then just for some reason hasn't had a look in. It's bizarre. Ziyech as well, we know is incredible. Loftus-Cheek is a very sort of tidy, useful player. I think he's unlucky not to be involved just for how solid he is. He might try it. I think he's one of those players that's not amazing, but he could help in this sort of situation to stop the rot.
Yeah,
I think he's one of those sorts of players. I think they're at this point where they just need to try and stop the rot and just, they're lucky the season's about to end and they can just move on anyway. If they had another 5 games left, this would be terrifying for them. They could lose 5 on the trot. It's looking like that at the moment. Like they're in relegation form. Obviously, Koulibaly and Silva there, we've talked about them two possibly coming in. I haven't put Mendy on, who of course is the other. I think it's pretty safe that Ken will get the start unless he decides to move it around. Let's have a look at us, shall we?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
Here we are. So, what do we think about this? I think this is the most probable lineup from Eddie Howe.
Yeah, the only real changes he can possibly make really is the Wilson Isak one that I say every week and he never does. Yeah.
It depends. So he might want to do some frontline rotation. It depends if Wilson will be okay with being dropped. Wilson's quite he wants to play every game. But if Wilson's okay with being dropped and Eddie Howe says right, we're gonna rotate. He might try to fit Maxi and Gordon into this lineup. He might try something. He could try potentially this if he wants to rotate and still have quite a tidy, competent front three, and then he could obviously bring Miggy and Wilson on as substitutes as need be. It could be a game where he lets Matt Targett have a start potentially. You never know. He might let Targett try. Burn is obviously. I mean, nobody seems to talk about this, but Burn is always very heavily strapped up on his shoulder and his arm. He's got a lot of strapping on his upper body, and this never seems to get mentioned. So, I wish we could I wish that was asked.
I don't know if it's something that. What does that tape actually do? Because it looks like it's just bits of tape. What does it do?
Kinesthetic tape, so it'll give you a bit more support. It'll give you a bit more spring and support, and it helps, especially if he's slinging his arms around and stuff like that. Shoulders can be very finicky. Fallen socket joint, moving 3 planes. Shoulders can be awful ones really when you get niggles. So what else can we do? Not a lot really. Joe Linton's injured. I mean, you've got Murphy that could play in the starting lineup or could be a substitute possibly. So he may be involved. I can't see us playing this lineup. I think it's too many changes all at once because obviously you've got Anderson in the midfield. You're missing Willock and Joe Linton, and then you're going to drop Miggy and drop like Wilson. I think that's possibly too many senior players being dropped all at the same time. So I don't think he's going to make this. But he might make some of the ones that we've just looked at and suggested, maybe. Right, let's have a look at Chelsea, shall we? So this is their game against Manchester United. Obviously, they lost 4-1. They got a bit battered. You see by the first half, though, the momentum bar is kind of in their favour. I'd say they've got the majority of the momentum here in the first half.
That's how I saw it. That's how I saw it, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's how you include us in a half time. And then here it's a little bit different. So let's scroll down and have a look. Look at their injuries as well. Brozier, Chilwell, Badiashile, Cucurella, Bettinelli, Mount, Kante, Reece James. So they've got injuries mounting up as well. So here are the stats for the Man United Chelsea game. They got so destroyed in that second half. Manchester United accumulated 5.21 XG, which is enormous, considering it's from 18 shots. Bearing in mind, if people can remember the Brighton game, sorry, not the Brighton game, the Leicester game, we had 23 shots against Leicester. We had 5 more shots than this. In 18 shots, they've managed to accumulate over 5 XG. So Chelsea were letting them into all kinds of high-value positions, like dangerous areas, if that makes sense. And they missed 4 big chances as well. This could have been 7 or 8 with the way the game's gone. Right, and if we scroll down and have a look, you can see Felix's solitary goal there, and then all of the Man United chances. Lots of high-value opportunities inside this box here. You can see how they've accumulated so much XG, all inside the box. And then stats, you can see the tale of the two halves. Man United accumulated 1 XG in the first half, and then 4 in the second half. So I'm not sure whatever Frank said at half time has completely destroyed these lads' confidence. I don't know what he said.
I think it was more to the fact that Chelsea dominated the first half, should really have been ahead, and then a minute or two before the end of the first half, Man United scored the second. I think the head just dropped after that.
It was a mess. It was an absolute mess. Let's go and have a look at some Chelsea stats, shall we? Top scorer on 7. Well, that's quite critical considering how Wilson's on 18, Isak's on double figures. We're doing very well. Top scorers here looking rather meager for Chelsea this year. Right, so they are bang average this year. FOBMOT rating a 10th, goals per match in the bottom 5. That's terrible for Chelsea. Goals conceded per match isn't too bad. They are 7th. Expected goals, so their XG that they're putting up is they're in 13th. Clean sheets, middle of the park. Possession is obviously not too bad because of the quality they've got. Shots, middle of the park. Big chances created, middle of the park. Average long balls, middle of the park. Accurate passes is better again, but it's a reflection of the quality players they've got. But you can see that there's a lot here that's all very middle of the park for Chelsea in terms of statistics, and that is reflected in their league position. They are where they should be this year, so not having a good year. But I do fully expect them to be better. Yeah, let's just hope that they can pause. We can roll them over on Sunday and get 3 points.
I agree. Brilliant analysis there, mate. Brilliant analysis. Well done for that. Let's take a few more comments. Fuggy Cracks in the house also. Evening, everyone. Thanks to the team involved with the Toon Review shows. Keep me away from crappy TV shows. Well, going to please. Evening to Alex McGregor. Simon says, he'd be surprised if we don't use the loan market this time so we can then put more money into the bigger signings. Eddie hasn't used it since his appointment. Interesting comment.
Can I just add with that tactically as well? I would like to go into a bit of depth about how Chelsea might play, but I don't know who they're going to select. It's kind of difficult. Formation-wise, it could be a 4-2-3-1, a 4-3-3, a 4-1-4-1. It could look different, in terms of Madueke playing, Felix starting, Pulisic and Ziyech getting some minutes. No, it could be. We don't have a long enough show to try and go through how they could play, because it could be 7 or 8 different ways, depending on personnel and formation. So they've got really good players. If it clicks, we've got to be careful. Is basically the overall analysis of this.
Yeah,
Because
the
they could
quality of
if
the squad.
they play
Yeah.
well. They've got enough individual talent to beat us. We've just got to make sure that we play well as a collective.
I noticed the highest assist contributor this year was Sterling with 3, which is, I guess it means they've got lots of players that can do the assists, but 3's a very low number for a squad of that talent. I mean, the creative players have got also, they've got lots of creative players. So something ain't right there. Wayne says, Alex, you're drinking one of my favourite ales, even though I think it tastes like burnt toast. There you go. I love Nicky Brown. I think it's lovely.
We are Trippier on 7 assists. Willock has 6. Bruno has 5. Those are our top 3 assists this season.
Corbin Smith said, anyone see that Mackham photoshopping pics of trips on Twitter trying to make out he's cheating on his wife? Did see it. Horrific kind of game from the Mackhams, but what do we expect? They can't morally have any high ground over us with anything really, so they're making things up. In my opinion, there's a hint of Alex speaking down a pipe, but okay. Well, he's got new earphones.
Yeah, I've got headphones on. I'm not at mine, so apologies if there's any strange sound quality.
So this is what I wanted to talk about, actually. We owe Chelsea one after that last-minute winner by Havertz last season. Now, that was a game that we dominated for 89.9 minutes of the game, criminally cheated by the referee, Mr. Coots, and ended up on the back of a loss, Alex. Recall that game for us.
Well, all I can recall there, I'm pretty sure it was the same game we were denied a penalty as well by Chalobah's. Was it shirt pull or tackle? I can't remember what it did.
It was like a rugby tackle on Murphy, wasn't it?
Very much a penalty. Secondly, Havertz's elbow up like that in the replay, not out to the side. When you jump up, you jump like this. You don't have your elbows up here. Obviously, Fern had a visible mark / black eye for the next few weeks. That was on some of the interviews and training videos. Didn't see red for it, so pretty ridiculous. So apart from those 2 incidents, we held our own, and unfortunately, it was Dan Burn that got done in the offside trap late on in the game by Havertz himself. Possibly a little bit dazed from getting, literally the sharp end of the elbow in his eye socket. And then I'm pretty sure Havertz got man of the match and the highest rating, and he shouldn't have even been on the pitch. So awful refereeing. So the refereeing isn't just this season in a terrible, poor officiating. It was last season as well.
Yeah.
Hopefully, this is one thing I'm hoping. Recently, we've not had too many issues with referees. Too bad. It's not really affected results. However, I would like Sunday's game to be one of, let's just concentrate on football. I want the referee to have a quiet one so we can just enjoy the final game of the season. Win or lose, I just want it to be about the football, not about the referee change of the incidents.
Couldn't agree more. Because a correction to the opening date of the transfer window, it's 14th of June, not 14th of July, which of course is 2 weeks away. So there you go. David says, if West Ham beat Leicester and we beat Chelsea by 2 goals, Chelsea would be the lowest club in the Premier League.
Pretty funny.
Hannah says, hi everyone listening for hubby who is working tonight. Well, you take back what we say with that's gospel, because we don't speak any nonsense on it. Not all the time. Forget the remark I made about the Harry Styles concert, though. Simon's talking about the Trippier stuff. That was a disgrace to be dealt with.
I think that guy's going to get sued. You can't, that is slander beyond belief. There's got to be some sort of criminal case there. You start doing that. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a letter about
that. Ryan expects a slow game versus Chelsea. There could well be a hint of testimonial about it, I guess. We'll see. It depends how. I guess it depends how Chelsea play the game, isn't it? How we respond to it.
I mean, Joe Linton missing is a big issue. Although we did obviously massively dominate Leicester without him. Who else are we missing? It's the fact Willock and Joe Linton, I guess, are a big part of our press. They're both very energetic, very physical, very athletic. Although I do say that I wish Willock would be a little bit more physical, but they both offer us so much athletically. I mean, you never know. Maybe Anderson maybe that because Anderson played a lot of minutes. Maybe we'll see another gear from Anderson. Anderson might be getting close to full match fit now. It's the longest he's played for us. So maybe we'll see a better performance. It'd be nice to see him get on the pitch and outshine somebody like maybe Conor Gallagher, who's obviously been involved in the England setup. It would be great if we could get our young lad on that pitch playing better than some of their. That would be really sad.
I agree. Tom says, any watch-alongs planned for the FA Cup final, Champions League final? Watch your space. We will decide that as the time goes on. But yeah, there's
Champions League final is an interesting one, but commentating anything that has Manchester United in it.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I couldn't do it with any neutrality, I've got to be honest. Yeah. Right, predicted lineups then. Hang on, let's do a few of these comments first. Jane Daniels, evening everyone from sunny Jersey. Stumbled across this site last night, but I hope you give us a subscribe, Jane. You'll enjoy what we've got here. We've got nearly 20,000 subs. And onwards and upwards we go. Up the A1's in the house. Good evening to you, up the A1. Devon Green says Chelsea are rubbish. We should give them a good hammering. Evening to Diane. Julie wants third. King Hoddle, welcome to you, mate. Congratulations on qualifying for the Champions League. 100% deserved. Rather you all lot than Chavsky or Liverpool all day long. Appreciate that, King Hoddle. I'm sure Spurs will be better next season if they can get themselves a manager that does want to go there. Seems quite hard for them, isn't it?
Yeah, I heard that the Feyenoord managers turned them down to stay at Feyenoord, which is it's a little bit funny. Sorry.
Steve Bruce is available. I'm sure he'd go there. Tor says, I'm happy to be able to gloat over Liverpool, and that's enough for me, as it said, baby steps, I guess. And I do know as many Liverpool fans as Man United fans, but there's still quite a few of them. Elite Mentality, Stato Spot On says, Wes. BT says, what protection is going to be given to our players in the Champions League after the aftermath of the match between Real Madrid and Valencia? Interesting point. Yeah, that was pretty appalling, wasn't it? What happened to Vinicius Jr.?
It wasn't just that. It was the president's comments afterwards suggesting that Vinicius doesn't help himself by sort of aggravating fans. Absolutely no way. That guy should be fired immediately. And like look at what's happened to Ivan Toney for betting. This guy says something that abhorrent that literally destroys people's confidence and lives, and could spread a negative message throughout the country. Getting banned from football is disgraceful that they're actually trying. And did you see the VAR replay on Vinicius as well? The VAR replay, I think that he got sent off for something quite aggressive, but they cut off the bit where he was getting pushed around. Before there were like 2 or 3 incidents of violence, and they cut out the first couple and only showed the Vinicius Junior one to the ref on VAR and recommended a red card. It was so, I mean, we think that our big clubs get fair treatment. This is one instance where a big club, the biggest club in Spain, got no fair treatment. And it was a disgrace. It's an absolute disgrace. And I know a lot of people are trying to say, oh, but the Premier League has got racism as well. Yes, it does have some, but we are trying very hard to get rid of it with all of our ambassadors and our projects and all of these different things. But, they are trying very, very hard. We are literally banning people from stadiums when we can see it's happening, giving them life bans. Whereas La Liga has just got this sort of controversy where they're higher ups that say absolutely abhorrent things. It's disgusting. It's disgraceful.
I mean, it takes the brand of La Liga as well, isn't it? If you're a top player, do you want to be going to La Liga now? I'm not sure you do. I think the quality of the players over there has diminished over the past few years, hasn't it? And things like this are only going to make it worse.
Obviously, Real Madrid and Barcelona are always going to be one of the biggest pools in world football. However, there is a bit of a shift occurring at the moment, especially with how exciting the Premier League is. I mean, look at Haaland came to Man City. It might be a little bit to do with his father and the fact he's actually born in England. So that might have swayed him, but we'll see. I still think Mbappe's going to end up in.
Excellent question, BT, though. Thank you for that. Hoping the Serbian Geordie comes through for us. He'll be out with revenge against Man United. Hat-trick coming, perhaps, says Jilly J. Wouldn't put it past him.
Fulham absolutely smashed it. Where are Fulham now? Just out of curiosity.
8th, 9th, maybe.
Imagine where they'd have been if Mitro hadn't have been. They are 10th currently on 52 points, though. That's really healthy.
Yep, I agree.
Although they've conceded a metric ton of goals. Oh, it's the same as Brighton. 54 scored, 51 conceded.
I mean, they were against us, weren't they? But yeah, I mean, the Fulham story this year has been a really good one. They've been, they're way above where I thought they'd finish, to be honest.
Kind of gone under the radar because everybody's been talking about us or Villa or Brighton and definitely Fulham. I think Bournemouth and Fulham have probably both gone under the radar. Forest have had a lot of attention, but yeah, definitely Fulham and Bournemouth probably not had enough credit for their impressive seasons.
I mean, I can't remember a season where a promoted team didn't get relegated. I mean, I can't remember it. I don't know if it has happened. I don't know. I've got a clue. But well done for them three clubs for managing to survive, and they'll be stronger for it next season, I guess. The Fulham game at Man United in the cup, Fulham dominated that and would have won the game hadn't it been for that incident where Mitra got sent home. I'm sure of it. 75 minutes dominated.
Brighton should have beat Man United in the FA. United were poor in the cups and have managed to get to 2 finals.
Ian says feels to be like a third place finish would flatter Man United. They had been bang average at times this season, I think most of the time. So if it happens though, I've mentioned that a few times about how uninspiring Manchester United are. Been very. I even said last night they were crap first half. There you go. Sydney says unbeaten in London and finished above Man United for the first time. Well, that would be great, Sydney. I mean, that would be the perfect day for me. I've got to be honest. Ryan says first time I've seen Billy being the main host and doing a great job. Away lads, let's grab third. Hope the Merseyside and Maccombs go down. Well, yeah. The plans are at the minute for me to follow the relegation battle while Paul and Alex do the main game at Stamford Bridge on Sunday. That could change though, depending on the events what are going on now. So we'll keep updated, and there will be a watch along on Sunday either way. Although it may not be the relegation battle, but we'll see. Hopefully it will be. Everything will be great in the house of Ditchburn. Luke M says, what do we make of Bruno mentioning he's heard the rumours regarding him needing an operation on his ankle, but it's not true? I didn't see that. I must be honest. He said he was playing with more than one injury, though. That's for certain.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned this to me earlier. I've not had a chance to obviously look at the press conference yet. I'll do that after we finish. But yeah, you mentioned that he said he's been playing through a couple of injuries, which is interesting. We obviously thought it was the ankle, but to be fair, he's been absolutely hammered by a really bad tackle at least once a game for the last 10 games on the trot. And apart from Leicester, he looked a lot livelier against Leicester, but most of the games prior to that, he's looked like his mobility's been hampered somewhat. He's not been moving as freely or as briskly. His getting up to speed is not quite as quick. So I think a month off, quite a month. But he needs a rest. He needs to rest up the season. But I don't think we've got anybody that can really play. I mean, we could have rested Bruno, but we're a bit thin in the midfield, so he's going to have to play.
Ryan says, I hope ASM starts with Isaac and Almond on Sunday. I agree with you, but I can't see it happening. Alex took his headphones off for a second. I don't know if he's changing or not, but we'll do a few more comments. I've just sharpened my chainsaw, Mary. Right, what's this regarding to? I didn't look, actually, thinking about it. That could be about anything, not necessarily about trees either. Evening Patriots, evening GPF. Wes says Newcastle best Scotch. Now that is my finest drink. My favourite drink of all time. Best Scotch. So be it. One of the times I came up to Newcastle, going back about 10 years, 15 years ago, maybe longer, 20 years maybe. 4 of us travelled up. My round first, went to the bar, ordered the 4 drinks, and by the time she'd poured the 4th pint, I'd finished my first and ordered another one. It just went down in one. It was fantastic. Best Scotch is fantastic. Love it. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. David says, where's Champions League background, Alex? Well, he's not at home, so he hasn't got his green screen. That's the reason why he hasn't got the Champions League background. But rest assured, he'll be there on Sunday. Evening to you, Stu. Hope you're well, mate. Call Me Swift says, my brother-in-law's love that Hobgoblin Ale is apparently really nice. It's very sweet, as I remember it. Call Me Swift. It is quite tasty, though, to be fair. Oh, there you go. It's Mad Dog Ale. Yeah. Stato's mic has an audio gate. The function is to cut out noise when he's not talking, but it's cutting out. Oh, well, that's just his thing for tonight. I've heard most of what he said, all of it. There you go. Right, let's do predicted lineups. Alex, what's yours?
I have absolutely no idea. I'll have a stab at it though. I'll have a stab at it. We'll go with Dubravka in goal. We'll go with I'm going to go with Target, Botman, Share, Trippier.
Right.
I think he'll give Target a go. The midfield, I think, is going to be Bruno, Anderson, and Longstaff. And then the front three, I think, is going to be Maxi, Isak, and Almiron.
Interesting. Very interesting. Mine slightly differs. I'm going to Dubravka in goal, Trippier and Target at fullback. Centre back, I think he's going to play Botman and Burn. I think he's going to rest Share. Bruno, Longstaff, and Anderson in the middle of the park. And I'm going to go this. I'm going to go Maxi, Isak, and Gordon as a front three.
And Gordon. Ooh. So no Wilson.
Wilson on the bench, come on late, grab 2 goals, 20 goals. All being well. All being well.
That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
All being well. Because he deserves it, to be honest. He deserves it. Right, so predictions for the game. Foxy's in the house, by the way. Let's say hello to Foxy. Finished third. I'll enjoy making fun out of Man United. Finished fourth. I'll say it doesn't matter. No difference finishing third or fourth. I guess you're right. Rach says, just a quick hello. I'm out tonight. Hope you're having a good night. We are indeed. We're doing our best. We're doing our best. Exhibition Ale. That's a draft, isn't it? In Newcastle, Wes. And Scotch Bitter also. They're very nice beers, Alex. Ooh. Absolutely. George Brown says Warsteiner. Now, Tom's got the brown ale content coming. Here we go. Tom always comes through good. Here we go. If you want a real Newcastle brown ale, Biker Brown Ale by Brinkburn Street Brewery. Wylam Brewery do a class supercharged IPA called Jakehead. Write it down. Write it down.
Write it down, yeah.
I don't think you'll be getting that in Northampton or Coventry, to be honest.
No, definitely not.
Definitely not. Spacebar says Chelsea look at shambles. JB says Chelsea were okay between box at OT. I agree with that. But dreadfully in the box. I agree with that too. Until the second half. Anyway, second half they were just... Until Felix came on. Felix looks a hell of a player. And if we are linked with him, and we do get him, it's one hell of a signing. I can't see it happening.
I'm not sure that's something we're looking at, really.
No. He has been linked, hasn't he? Not sure. I'm sure the Labour Club in town will still have it on draft. They definitely used to have the Scotch on draft. I've drank it on many occasions in there. And the Star Inn's got it also, I believe. I don't know about exhibition. Steve says, Tom, that Jakehead is dangerous stuff. I like the Mordew ales. Oh, it's all alcohol talk. Another one here. This looks more real ale. Brian says, Alex, try some Iron Maiden Trooper ale, Hobgoblin or Black Sheep. Black Sheep's
I do
nice.
like Hobgoblin. We get a lot of Hobgoblin around this area.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah. Black Sheep's nice too. Would Be Fam says, late snoozing. What did I miss? Just the whole show, mate. Nothing to... Actually, no, he posted that 20 past 8, so he hasn't missed the whole show. 20 past 8? Christ, how many comments are there here? I'm not going through them all.
I think we're a bit behind. We might have to skip some.
Yeah, I've just done that.
Apologies, guys, if you've commented. This is why Paul only reads super chat sometimes.
Yeah, we just been rabbiting on, and we've just been rabbiting on. Nathan says Dubravka, Target, Botman, Share, Trippier, Longstaff, Richie. Richie's injured, isn't he? Murphy, Miggy Wilson. I'm pretty sure Richie's out for the season. Yeah, but apart from that, not a bad. No such thing as a stupid question, but I did mean Toon and Coventry. What are you asking? I've not even seen. I've just skipped past it. Ian says Theakson's all peculiar for him. Preferably draft. Yeah, not a bad drop.
Kind of all peculiar.
Best Scotch, Colin Hendry says Chippers. Doombar, I'm not a fan of that one, I've got to be honest.
I don't like Doombar. Bishop's Finger's not bad.
Yeah, Doombar's a bit harsh, isn't it? A bit heavy. Right, so predictions. What do you think the score will be, Alex?
Score prediction?
Yeah.
Oh, God, this is one of those games that could be absolutely anything. You know, I don't think we were too far off the Brighton one. I know I said 1-1, but I think the game was fairly tightly contested until the final sort of 20 minutes. We just scored all the goals. It could have been a sort of we were all nervous it was going to be a 2-2 game. Let's be honest, and they pulled that one back. What this could be one of those games that honestly could be a cricket score. Because we've got such a changed lineup, I don't think it's going to be as consistent. I could see us conceding 1 or 2 goals, and I could see us scoring quite a few as well. I think this could be like a 3-2 game or something. I'm going to go 3-2 to us. I think we're going to score 3 and beat them 3-2. I think Longstaff's going to get one because he keeps getting in these positions. He can't mess them all up forever. He's going to go right. One of his attacking moves is going to work. I think Miggy might get one, whether he starts or comes on as a sub. So Longstaff, Miggy, and I think Isak show his quality again. He's not scored in a little while. Third. And I'm not going to guess the Chelsea scorers because it could be one of about 50. I'm not so 3-2.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I think it's going to be an end-to-end job. I think Chelsea will be keen to sign off in some kind of style. I think we'll see an open game of football. However, I see us winning 4-3. I'm going to go same as you, Alex. I think it's going to be a high-scoring, entertaining 90 minutes of football. 4 goal scorers for us. I don't see them keeping Isak out, I'll be honest. I think he'll get 2. Let's just see. I think Maxi may well score 1. I don't think Azpilicueta will play because he took some hits last night. And I think Maxi could well win right down that left wing. So I think he'll get 1. And the other one will come from Sven Botman. Let's say Sven Botman from a corner. It may well hit someone else and give it. It'll be great, wouldn't it? It would be great.
He's the only one in that back line that's not scored this season. He could really do with 1 just to sign off with a goal.
Let's talk about promotion clubs seasons not being relegated. Ash says 2017-18 when Newcastle United, Brighton and Huddersfield stayed. Of course, yeah.
Huddersfield went right back down in second season syndrome.
They did, yeah. David Wagner. Yeah. Playoff predictions,
he is
guys.
A terrible manager.
He is. Right, tomorrow's the playoff final. Yeah, it's the biggest financial game in world football, they say. Oh, wow. Luton Town v Coventry. What do you reckon, Alex?
All right, I'll try and be neutral on this. And obviously, I've lived in Coventry before. I like Coventry. I've been to see Coventry play at the Rico many moons ago. I was always somewhat fond of them when we got Leon Best from them. They used to be part of the setup. Billy doesn't. I've not prepared this. Billy doesn't know I was going to say this. However, I think it would still be interesting for a club like Luton to be in the Premier League. I think it would be, especially with their whole stadium that everybody's talking about backing onto like back streets and residential areas. It's quite amusing. Considering I remember when I was in high school, I remembered them sort of being. I'm pretty sure they were in the National League or something. I'm not sure if they were pretty far down the football pyramid though. They were very far down. So I remember
they were National League,
I think, which is very low down. So I think I'll go with Coventry. I think I would, out of the two, I think I'd probably prefer Coventry to win, because they were part of the sort of fabric of the Premier League for a while. And it would be nice to see if we're gonna lose some historical teams like Leeds and Everton, then why not somebody like Coventry come back up and make it like an old-fashioned Premier League table? It'd be quite interesting. I'm going to go with Coventry to win 2-0 in standard time.
I would actually scorers. I tend to think that Coventry's experience at Wembley over the past 5 or 6 years will do them the world of good. I think that'll be. I think actually Luton are probably a better side than Coventry. However, Matt Robbins, I think, is a better manager than the Luton manager. I think his Wembley experience, I think the players' Wembley experience will prove vital. And I think Coventry, the same as you, Alex, I think 2-0. And we should be welcoming Coventry back to the Premiership. And my mates will all be ecstatic. Coventry will be a good place to be Saturday night, I think. So I may go out for a few beers tomorrow night. May well do. We've come to the end of the show, guys. So, yeah, we've been on an hour and 10. We've managed to talk for an hour and 10 between us. Don't forget to hit the likes. Subscribe.
We're so close. We are so close to 20,000.
We are indeed. Don't forget to hit the likes. If you're new, you must have enjoyed what you've seen tonight. And this is just the two of us. There's another two fantastic, obviously the channel owner, fantastic host, and also Jack, who's not here tonight. This is just half of the Toon review on the screen. So if you like what you've seen, a bit of light in Alex's house, God said there must be light, and so there was.
It was getting very, very dark. Sorry, guys.
It's okay. It's okay. Don't forget. So if you are new, hit that subscribe button. It doesn't cost you a penny. However, if you do like us so much, you could also become a member by hitting the join button, and that'll take you to a paid membership page. The likes are most important. Just as important, though, hit that thumbs up. I don't know how many have hit the like button tonight, but it just pushes up the algorithm and encourages more subscribers. And that's what we're in it for at the end of the day. We're nearly at 20k. We may well be there now. I don't know. Just a couple of these.
We're 19.9.
Yeah.
I think we were.
We're in the 19.9 for certain. Best squad was quite
because-
weak as well, only 3.5%. Yeah, but it wasn't about the strength. You just have about 20 points of it. Happy days.
So everybody that's here now, Sunday watch along with me and Paul. Obviously, Billy will be backstage as well watching the relegation stuff. Please come back. If you're watching now, please come and watch the game with us on Sunday. Hopefully, we can hit that magic of 20k, and it will be some sort of, you know, poetic justice if we hit 20k on the 38th game, final day of the season for us. It would be absolutely magical. So please make sure you come back.
Just do a couple of comments here. Anyway, Granny, I've never known as the go-to woman for In the Know, says Florian Wirtz has been linked to Newcastle again. Hell of a player, though. Hell of a player.
I feel like he's slightly out of our reach. He's like, to me, in my head, he's like a Man City Real Madrid type.
Yeah, I agree.
He's like a Bellingham, but German. Is he German? I think he's German.
He is.
Plays in German.
He's German or Austrian, isn't he? I think he's German. Ash incorrectly says Coventry have been beaten at Wembley. Not true, Ash. Not true. They lost the Charity Shield in the 88 season to Everton, 1-0. Wayne Clark with a goal, which I know, as I was there. One says 2-1 to Luton. Tony says, I want Coventry to win. Luton is an absolute shithole, and its stadium is a bigger shithole. Steve says he thinks Coventry will win. Yeah. Dear me. Every pub you go into, even the arms and the chairs have got tattoos on them. It's that bad here. George says, I saw apparently Luton might have to play their home games in a different ground. It is true. I'm not sure. Of course, in the 80s, they banned away fans. They had no away fans in for 3 or 4 seasons and played on a plastic pitch. So who knows? Anyway, we are at the end of the show. We've done over an hour. Thank you to all for joining, watching us tonight. Your super chats, your likes. Hopefully, you've hit the thumbs up, and new subscribers if we have any. Also, thanks to the mods in the background, Tom, Ryan, Rachel was there for a while. Thanks to you lot. Thanks to Alex for joining us and helping me with this show. But most importantly, thanks to you viewers and members and everyone else for joining us. So we should be back Sunday with a watch long. Newcastle Chelsea will definitely be the main one. Hopefully, I'll be on the background doing relegation stuff, but we will just play it by ear, really, how things go this weekend. But until then, we shall see you on Sunday. Alex, I'm going to leave you to do. Actually, let's do Daisy before we go. There's Daisy. She'll be here on Sunday too. Alex, you've got to do my line. Good evening to all of you. See you Sunday for a great show. Good evening, everyone.
Away the lads and lasses.
Good lad.
Come back and check out the green.